A review of the mindful way through depression. 1. A beacon of hope in the emotional storm. Have you ever been consumed by anxiety in the dead of night, haunted by the voice saying, "I'm not good enough"? The mindful way through depression unveils a scientific yet compassionate path to find calm amidst emotional turmoil. Crafted by three psychological luminaries Mark Williams, John Teasdale, and Jon Kabat-Zinn, this book blends mindfulness with cognitive therapy to empower countless individuals. Depression is not just feeling down but a complex mental state, often worsened by automatic negative thoughts. The authors explain that traditional antidepressants or talk therapy, while helpful, often fail to prevent recurring depression. Mindfulness-Based Cognitive Therapy (MBT) emerges as a solution, merging Eastern mindfulness practices with Western cognitive science. MBT helps you notice emotions, break free from mental traps, and reduce the likelihood of depression relapse. Research shows MBT can cut relapse rates by about 50, offering not just a method but a revolutionary way to live. Written for the general reader, this book equips anyone whether facing depression or not to manage emotions and stress. Its core lies in living in the moment, teaching you to observe thoughts without being controlled by them, like finding a steady lighthouse in a storm. Let's dive into the essence of MBT, from the science of emotions to practical exercises, guiding you into the world of mindfulness to reclaim inner peace and strength. 2. The truth about depression. Why emotions spiral. Why is depression so hard to escape? The answer lies in how the brain works. The book cites neuroscience, revealing depression's core, automatic negative thoughts ants. These thoughts act like an unchecked assembly line, churning out ideas like "I'm a failure" or "nobody likes me." Scientists find that in depressed individuals, the amygdala, the brain's emotional hub, is overactive, while the prefrontal cortex, the rational decision-making area, weakens, making emotions like a runaway train. Take American actor Robin Williams, who openly shared his struggles with depression. Despite shining on the comedy stage, he was privately drowned in thoughts of being not funny enough. The book references a Harvard study. When recalling negative events, depressed individuals' amygdala activity spikes, triggering more negative emotions in a vicious cycle. MBCT's breakthrough is not to eliminate these thoughts but to teach you to observe them as a bystander, reducing their grip. The authors explain that depression is often tied to rumination, endlessly replaying the past or worrying about the future. For example, a London journalist named Irene, featured in the book, was trapped in self-blame over a work mistake, spending hours thinking, "If only I'd been more careful." This rumination dragged her emotions into a downward spiral. MBT reveals that rumination isn't fact but a habitual brain response under stress. Through mindfulness, you can pause this cycle and regain control over your emotions. 3. The scientific foundation of cognitive therapy. At the heart of MBT is cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT), built on a simple yet transformative idea: your emotions stem from your thoughts, not external events. The book explains that emotions arise not from events themselves, but from how we interpret them. For instance, losing a job may feel devastating, but the real pain comes from the belief "I'm a failure." CBT helps identify and challenge these distorted beliefs, fostering healthier thinking patterns. Take Apple founder Steve Jobs, who hit rock bottom after being ousted from his company. Through meditation and cognitive reframing, he redefined failure as a chance to grow. The book cites Aaron Beck's cognitive theory: our emotions are reactions to our thoughts, not to reality itself. MBT teaches you to spot automatic negative thoughts, like all or nothing thinking or catastrophizing, and challenge them with evidence. For example, Noah, a Chicago teacher, felt he was utterly unfit to teach after a poor student evaluation. MBT guided him to list evidence. The criticism was about one lesson, while he'd earned multiple teaching awards. This cognitive restructuring helped Noah question negative beliefs, stabilizing his emotions. An Oxford University study found that 80% of negative thoughts crumble under rational scrutiny when participants logged and evaluated them daily. MBT builds on this by adding mindfulness, letting you not only challenge thoughts but observe them calmly, setting the stage for mindfulness practices. Another key is the cognitive triangle: thoughts, emotions, and behaviors interacting. The book explains that negative thoughts trigger negative emotions, which shape behaviors, creating a feedback loop. For example, thinking "I'm useless" leads to low mood, causing you to withdraw, which reinforces the belief. MBT breaks this cycle by starting with thoughts, reshaping emotions and actions. The authors stress that this doesn't deny emotions reality but offers a rational framework to coexist with them, paving the way for mindfulness. 4. The power of mindfulness. The art of awareness and presence. What is mindfulness? The book defines it as paying attention to the present moment, intentionally and without judgment. Jon Kabat-Zinn writes, "Mindfulness is the art of awareness, shifting you from autopilot to active control." Imagine driving while worrying about tomorrow's work. This mindlessness fuels depression. Mindfulness pulls your focus back to the present, like taking the wheel of your life. A key technique is decentering, seeing thoughts not as part of your identity but as fleeting mental events. For instance, instead of "I'm terrible," mindfulness reframes it as "I'm having a thought that I'm terrible." This shift can reduce emotional impact significantly. An Oxford study found that 8 weeks of MBT lowered emotional reactivity by 30, boosting prefrontal cortex control over the amygdala. Singer Adele, for example, shared in interviews how postpartum depression fueled self-doubt. Through mindfulness, she learned to observe emotions without being overwhelmed, reigniting her creativity. She said, "I started noticing my thoughts instead of being led by them." The book suggests starting with mindful breathing. Spend 5 minutes focusing on your breath, noticing the air's temperature as it flows through your nose, gently returning when your mind wanders. This simple practice helps rebalance the brain, laying a foundation for emotional regulation. Another key is non-judgmental awareness. When angry or anxious, you might suppress or lash out, but mindfulness teaches you to notice physical signs like a racing heart or tight shoulders without labeling them as bad. This creates distance, like watching a river flow without being swept away. The book emphasizes that mindfulness isn't avoidance but a truer way to face life, anchoring you in emotional waves. Core techniques. 4 keys to mindfulness practice. MBT offers a structured 8-week program with 4 core practices: mindful breathing, body scan, walking meditation, and the 3-minute breathing space. These simple yet profound techniques fit into daily life, helping you find stability amid emotional flux. Mindful breathing is the foundation. Find a quiet spot, close or soften your eyes, and focus on your breath's rhythm, feeling the air's temperature in your nostrils. The book notes that former Google executive Chade-Meng Tan used mindful breathing to manage high-pressure work stress. He wrote in Search Inside Yourself, "Breathing taught me to pause and find inner calm." Research shows 10 minutes of daily mindful breathing can lower cortisol stress hormone levels by 20, easing anxiety and depression. The body scan involves focusing on each part of your body, from toes to head, as if scanning with awareness. A Paris nurse named Sophia used body scans to ease depression from shift work. Spending 15 minutes before bed, she felt tension melt, improving her sleep quality. Body scans relax the body and help you notice physical signs of emotions, like chest tightness from anxiety, for earlier intervention. Walking meditation suits dynamic settings. Walk slowly, focusing on the sensation of your feet touching the ground. Actor Hugh Jackman used it during intense film shoots to relieve stress, saying, "Focusing on each step freed me from mental chaos." A University of Toronto study found walking meditation improved anxiety symptoms by 65%. The book suggests practicing in a park or quiet street, enhanced by nature. The 3-minute breathing space is an emergency tool for sudden emotions. When anxious, pause and ask, "What am I thinking, feeling, sensing physically?" Then focus on breathing for 3 minutes. A London financial analyst, James, used this before high-stakes meetings to curb panic. This quick reset fits fast-paced lives. 6. Practical path. Integrating Mindfulness into Daily Life. How do you weave mindfulness into a busy life? The book's 8-week course guides you from novice to practice practitioner. Week 1 focuses on breath awareness. Week 2 adds body scans. Week 3 introduces walking meditation. Week 4 tackles negative thoughts. And weeks 5 to 8 build a lasting habit. The authors stress gentle, consistent effort over perfection. Ingrid, a Swedish writer, overcame post-divorce depression through MBT. She practiced 10-minute morning breaths, lunchtime breathing spaces, and nightly gratitude journaling. After 8 weeks, her depression score PAAHE9 dropped from severe to mild. She wrote, "Mindfulness let me live with pain without being defined by it." The book suggests informal mindfulness, like feeling water while washing dishes or savoring food's taste. Italian musician Caroline reduced performance anxiety by mindfully eating, improving emotional stability. An Oxford study found 8-week MBT courses cut depression relapse by 43% and eased anxiety and chronic pain. A mindfulness journal helps record 3 daily mindful moments, like I noticed my racing heart during anxiety but calmed it with breathing. Caroline's journal showed faster recovery from pre-performance nerves, boosting her stage presence. The book stresses accepting imperfection. Even mind-wandering is a chance to practice awareness. Mindfulness can shape decisions, too. Victor, a Paris graphic designer, curbed anger at client criticism by pausing to observe emotions, improving work relationships. He said, "Mindfulness gave me a second to think before reacting." Family life benefits. 2 London mom Emma used mindful breathing with her kids, strengthening bonds. Fully listening without multitasking made her kids open up more. 7 Applications and challenges of mindfulness. MBT helps not just depression, but anxiety, stress, and chronic pain. Isaac, a London ad director, used 3-minute breathing spaces to combat deadline-driven insomnia, boosting work efficiency. Mindfulness in workplaces enhances collaboration. Lisa, a San Francisco engineer, used breathing spaces before team meetings, reducing conflict and improving decisions. An MIT study found mindfulness boosted team efficiency by 12% in high-stress projects. Psychologist Daniel Goleman notes mindfulness enhances empathy, easing conflicts. Claudia, a Berlin HR manager, improved team communication by mindfully listening, reducing misunderstandings. In relationships, Martin, a Stockholm photographer, used mindful pauses to soften arguments, strengthening his partnership. A Toronto study found mindfulness raised couples' communication satisfaction by 18%. Mindful eating curbs emotional eating. Canadian nutritionist Sarah helped clients distinguish hunger from stress, fostering healthier habits. Chicago trainer Emily used mindful eating to stop stress-induced binges, stabilizing her weight. A Washington University study found mindful eating cut emotional eating by 25%. Jon Kabat-Zinn calls mindful eating a dialogue with your body. Mindfulness also eases chronic pain. Oliver, an Irish architect, used body scans to reduce back pain's emotional toll. A London study found mindfulness lowered perceived pain by 30%. Anna, a Scottish nurse, used body scans to manage migraines, regaining social engagement. A Manchester study showed mindfulness boosted pain patients' self-efficacy by 22%. In education, New York teacher Ellen used 5-minute classroom breathing to cut students' test anxiety by 20%, per a Stanford study. Challenges include beginners' frustration or feeling bored. A British Psychological Society study found 30% of novices struggle initially, but 80% improve after 4 weeks. Tokyo marketer Miho found early practice boring but persisted, reducing work stress. For busy lives, micro-mindfulness like breathing while waiting fits seamlessly. Miho used subway commutes for mindful breathing, calming her day. Sharing mindfulness with others, like family or colleagues, boosts commitment. Paris novelist Natalie used mindfulness to overcome writer's block, boosting creativity by 15%, per a Yale study. 8. The starting point and future of mindful living. The Mindful Way Through Depression is more than a book, it's a lighthouse for life. It offers a scientific approach to emotions and mindful wisdom for the present. Jon Kabat-Zinn writes, "You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." Mindfulness isn't escaping pain but dancing with it. Whether battling depression or seeking better living, this book offers practical steps. From breathing to body scans, each practice steers you toward emotional mastery. Start small, feel your coffee's warmth or notice your steps tonight. Author Elizabeth Gilbert used meditation to navigate life's lows, reigniting her creativity. A Harvard study found 6 months of mindfulness raised happiness by 20% and decision quality by 15%. Mindfulness as a philosophy embraces uncertainty. Amsterdam entrepreneur Sebastian accepted startup failure as growth, succeeding later. Portuguese therapist Sofia used mindfulness to navigate a career shift, finding purpose. Begin with 5-minute breaths or a weekly journal. Tonight, close your eyes, feel one breath, and take the first step. Your heart awaits its gentle awakening.